in the previous page, I talked about overloading the equal operator for student because I needed to copy two students, one from one vector to another student dynamic array. This is talking about creating or copying one dynamic array, whatever it is, to another dynamic array of the same templated type. So this is, student was down here, now we're going above it here. Now we're talking about copying two whole vectors. As long as they're the same type, then we can copy from one another. And again, that's the whole vector. That's all of the data behind it. All of it gets copied into a new one. Compared to where it was just student, it was just one student to the other. That was it. Okay. So this is actually going to look pretty familiar when we comes to the old copy constructor. You're going to notice some of the highlights come up here, but most of the code is exactly the same. The only thing that is different is with the equal sign, and you've seen this before, we had to do a self-assignment check. That's the only thing that is really different between the two. Second part is that we're going to have return this, which returns a new dynamic array. That's the copy constructor. Or sorry, let me put this. That's the copy constructor. This is using the overload of the operator equal sign. How do we use it? Well, I'm more used to worrying about this one than that one down there. But anyway, here's how we're going to use this. I'm going to create this. I did this in two ways, frankly, to be honest with you. Here's dynamic array of integers, a new array. Pretend we place some values in there, and then we use the equal sign to go ahead and do that. And again, that's worrying about an integer. And an integer vector is going to do that. It's going to go ahead and use the equal sign for the vectors. Even though they're two integers, remember, it's going to have multiple numbers in there, and it's got to copy them over. That looks familiar, right? Using the equal sign from the previous page. Same idea. It's going to be using that value and copy each one of them between the original array and my new array. So there's what's happening in that one. I could do the exact same thing here. Whereas I am creating an array of students called training room, and I'm equaling it or setting it to a copy of our classroom 1. Now remember, when we're doing either our overloaded equal method or our copy constructor, we're doing a deep copy between the two. So that means that now that we have two distinct vectors, both holding students, one of using training room, the other one using classroom 1. So if I make any changes to classroom 1 using a deep copy, it does not affect anything in training room 2. And that's using the copy constructor that you and I have gone over before in advanced classes. That's actually nothing new to that. That's good news. So that's our overloading of the equal sign. And again, we're doing that also because of the complete class profile that we talked about. We're doing it because we're lazy. We want to use the equal sign. You know, it makes sense to us. We've been using the equal sign the whole time. Notice the overall setup is not really unique from what you've had before. Again, you're going to see the template there and the T and all that's very consistent. Every time you see T, that means whatever data type we happen to be using for that particular instance. That hasn't changed either.